Number 8. The Game. The legendary LA rapper has made a career out of gritty street poetics and gang culture. Unfortunately, his poetry was a little too street for the likes of the Canadian government. When he showed up for a tour date in Nova Scotia in 2011, he was detained and then denied entry into the province. The government cited his gang-affiliated lyrics. The Game often references his ties to the Bloods on record, and barred him from entry, causing him to have to cancel several shows throughout the country. Interestingly, the ban on the Game is still active. It was reported by TMZ that the Game tried to get tickets to the 2019 NBA Finals between the Warriors and the Toronto Raptors, but could not attend the game due to his Canada ban. It's pretty crazy just for some lyrics about violence. Number 7. Waka Flocka. The trap master himself has seen plenty of controversy over the course of his iconic career. From beef with Gucci Mane to criminal charges, Flockavelli is no stranger to the law, American law at least. But it turns out that American law has a way of following you no matter where you go. Flocka found this out the hard way when he scheduled a mini tour of Australia and New Zealand. Only New Zealand allowed him entry, as Australia denied him access due to prior drug and gun charges on his criminal record. The charges were still fresh at the time of the tour, but still, it seems like an overreaction. Sad for all the Flocka fans who were excited to see him perform in Australia, but I gotta say, shoutouts to New Zealand though, you're a real one for letting him in. Number 6. Jay-Z. As hip-hop's first billionaire, it's hard to think of Jay-Z as being banned from anywhere. However, this wasn't the case in 2006. Jay-Z was just on the cusp of his mogul status, but China wasn't having it. Hov was forced to cancel a tour date in Shanghai after China's Ministry of Culture determined his lyrics were too vulgar for Chinese audiences. They specifically cited lyrics about pimps, guns, and drugs in their decision. I don't know, those things sound alright to me. On the other hand, Jay-Z remains banned from China only as a performer. Jay-Z, the business mogul and billionaire, is a different story. His various business ventures were expanding into China as early as 2009, when his clothing brand Rocawear made its way to Chinese markets. All in all, it's fair to say that things turned out alright for Hov. The only losers here are the Chinese fans who missed out on a legendary artist because their government decided for them that they couldn't handle pimps and guns. Bummer. Number 5. MF Doom. The defining face, or mask, of the underground hip-hop movement has lived in the United States for most of his young adulthood. He spent time almost homeless on the New York City streets before forging the identity that would propel him to underground legend status. However, MF Doom was not actually born in New York. He was actually born Daniel Dumel in London, England. His parents moved to Long Island when he was young, and his paperwork was never sorted out. As a result, he's been an undocumented immigrant in the US his entire life, only holding citizenship in the United Kingdom. This became an issue when MF Doom rocked a European tour back in 2010. When he tried to return to the United States, he was denied entry due to his immigration status. Doom didn't even try to fight it. Instead, he declared that he was done with the United States and settled in his native London. To this day, Doom has not returned stateside. Looks like you'll have to go overseas or hop over to Canada if you're trying to catch the supervillain live. And even then, there's a chance it's not even him at all. Number 4. Chris Brown. Seems like Australia is a bit trigger happy with the entry bans. However, at least this guy deserved it. When Chris Brown planned a tour date in Australia back in 2015, the Australian government denied him access, using his 2009 conviction for assaulting his then-girlfriend Rihanna. The UK and Canada handed out similar bans citing the same incident. While it does seem crazy that a crime from 6 years prior could come back to bite you like that, it's cool to see the collective agreement that Chris Brown is an awful person. It's important not to let him off the hook for this, especially considering when there's no indication that his behavior has changed. While we can debate the ethics of these travel bans, we should never condone the behavior of someone like Chris Brown. Number 3. 50 Cent. Now that we look at it, it seems like all the former British colonies are trigger happy with the bans. With the exception of authoritarian China, all of these bans have come from Britain and its former colonies. What's up with that? Why don't we hear rappers getting banned from like Brazil or something? In any case, 50 Cent was banned from Canada for similar reasons to the other lovely folks on this list. His lyrics were deemed too violent and vulgar for the good people of Toronto. And Member of Parliament Dan McTeague fought tooth and nail to keep 50 Cent from indoctrinating the Canadian youth. As it turns out, both sides were able to claim victory, at least in some capacity. 50 was eventually given access into Canada, and his tour went on as scheduled. But several members of his rap group, the G Unit, were denied entry. You win some, you lose some, I guess. Still, it brings me great joy to imagine Toronto locals getting down to in the club. Number 2. Tyler the Creator. Over the course of his career, Tyler the Creator has endured all sorts of controversy for his violent and outrageous lyrics, particularly from his days as leader of the hip-hop collective Odd Future. The entire collective was banned from New Zealand back in 2014, when the government deemed the group to be, quote, a threat to public order and public interest. Ironically, Odd Future was going to New Zealand to support Eminem, another rapper who has endured similar controversy. As a solo act, Australia and the UK were quick to hand out travel bans to Tyler shortly after. The ban came on the heels of his album Cherry Bomb, and Tyler was forced to cancel the tour dates in the UK as a result, saying that the UK government was, quote, treating him like a terrorist. Interestingly, one individual who was instrumental in his ban was Theresa May, who would go on to become UK's Prime Minister a little over a year later. All in all, it was Tyler who got the last laugh though. After exorbitant amounts of time and money thrown into legal cases, Tyler was finally granted access to the UK in 2019, 4 years after he was banned, and shortly after Theresa May resigned as Prime Minister. Just recently, he was in the UK accepting his Brit Award for the 2019 album Igor. He dedicated the award to Theresa May.
Shout out to all the UK boys that keep this place fun for me at night. And I want to give a special shout out to someone who I hold dear to my heart who made it where I couldn't come to this country 5 years ago. I know she's at home pissed off. Thank you, Theresa May.
That's payback if I've ever seen it. Number 1. Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg is that guy you can't just ban. He's just too cool for that. He's like everybody's favorite chill, pot-smoking uncle. And yet, Snoop Dogg has been banned from at least 3 countries, and counting. His first ban came on the heels of an altercation outside of a club in the UK back in 2006. He was slapped with a travel ban pretty shortly after. Undeterred, he was set to travel to Australia the following year to attend their music video awards. And he was hit with another ban, with the Australian government citing, quote, character grounds for his ban. More recently, he was hit with a temporary ban from Norway. He was caught with 8 grams of weed on him at the Norwegian airport, which is probably the stupidest reason to ban Snoop Dogg from your country. Seriously, Norway, you didn't expect Snoop to show up to your country with as much weed as he could carry? At a certain point, you just gotta know what you're getting into.